on this critical legislation. The Main Street Capital Access Act is exactly the kind of targeted reform needed to advance this committee's goal of making community banking great again. Community banks represent the financial backbone of this country. They finance farms, factories, family businesses, and first-time homebuyers. These institutions don't just serve communities, they are part of them. They are the engines of the American dream. They are the nurseries of the national wealth, as one of our founding fathers so famously said. But here's the hard truth. Washington has not been treating them that way. For years, federal regulators have been writing rules as if every bank in America is a trillion-dollar global institution, and then acting surprised when community banks disappear. That's the result of a regulatory culture that forgot who the system is supposed to serve. The Main Street Capital Access Act is about changing that. The goal is simple. Regulation should follow risk, not size, not zip code, not political fashion. A $500 million community bank in rural Kentucky should not be regulated under the same framework built for a Wall Street GSIB. Community banks in Kentucky face burdensome capital rules and a supervisory framework designed for Wall Street. That means higher costs, fewer loans, and more forced consolidation. And this hurts the American consumer by reducing access to credit and opportunities for small business growth. We intend to rectify this issue via this community bank package. The Main Street Capital Access Act opens the door for new bank formation, improving transparency in the chartering process, making applications more predictable, and ensuring rural and underserved communities can once again see new institutions form instead of watching their local banks disappear. We are also restoring proportionality to regulation, updating capital leverage and enhanced prudential standards so that they actually reflect a bank's risk profile, not just an arbitrary asset threshold. That means less money spent on regulatory gymnastics and more money available for loans in the community. We are also bringing fairness and due process back to supervision. Banks should not be governed by unpublished examiner preferences. They should be governed by clear rules, risk-based testing, and transparent standards. You should know what you're being judged on before you're judged. That's how a system governed by law is supposed to work. The Act also addresses the structural problems that are driving consolidation. The Act requires regulators to justify their actions and create clarity and predictability in the merger process so that healthy banks can grow and troubled banks can find partners before they fail. And the Act ensures that when banks do fail, community banks aren't shut out of the resolution process by design. Finally, this legislation recognizes reality. Innovation is happening whether Washington likes it or not. The question is whether it happens inside the banking system where it's supervised and safe, or outside it where it isn't. These bills let banks partner, modernize, and compete. For states like Kentucky and Texas and Arkansas, this is personal. Community banks are the financial infrastructure of rural America. When they thrive, small towns thrive. When they're regulated out of existence, capital dries up and opportunity for local ownership disappears. The Main Street Capital Access Act is a critical step toward restoring the financial backbone of this country. Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to request unanimous consent to enter into the record letters of support, many, supporting and endorsing H.R. 6955 from the following organizations: the Kentucky Bankers Association, the Independent Community Bankers of America, 44 community banking associations, the American Bankers Association, Arkansas Community Bankers Association, the Bank Policy Institute, Community Financial Services Bank in the Great Commonwealth of Kentucky, Opportunity Finance Network, which is a network of 500 CDFIs across the country, the CDFI Coalition, the Community Development Bankers Association, the National Bankers Association, the Real Estate Roundtable, U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and the American Bankers Council.
Without objection.
To conclude, Mr. Chairman, I want to just point out to my good friend, the ranking member, her opposition to this legislation is opposition to the Opportunity Finance Network. It is opposition to the CDFIs of this country. It is opposition to the National Bankers Association, the minority depositories. Those institutions support this bill. The CDFIs, the minority-owned banks, support this bill. And I would encourage all members of the other side of the aisle to join us in bipartisan support of this legislation.